How's it guys, this is Dayvy FPL and welcome back to the Fantasy Premier League video here on my channel. Now in this video we're going to be going over the ultimate guide to double game week 26, the last big double game week of this FPL season. So get those chips, get those transfers and get those game week sides finalized for, as I said, the biggest double game week of this season that's left. So a little bit of a sad time here. The season is kind of edging itself to a closure. The double game weeks are coming to an end. We still have a couple of smaller game weeks, but this is definitely the one to focus on if you're going to be looking at not only those chips but also those big point hauls. So a couple of points drops could also take place, but usually in a double game week we're looking at the 100 pointers, the 120, 150 point game weeks, and I'm pretty sure double game week 26 is going to live up to the hype. So in this video, as it is the ultimate guide, we'll be going through everything, the fixture schedule, should you be using your wild cards, your triple captaincy and your bench boost, and then finally we're going to be looking at some differential options that you could consider with those free transfers. So that's something you're interested in, sit back, relax, and let's get straight into it. So before I go on to the talking points, I wanted to give you guys a reminder that double game week 25 has not concluded yet. We still do have the fixture tonight and then that all-important fixture tomorrow of Leeds versus Southampton. I'm kind of hoping for Rafinha, Dallas, and more importantly, Captain Bamford to absolutely turn up finally to double game week 25, and then we should be looking at quite a nice green arrow later on the week in the team selection. There also is European football this week. The Champions League is a little bit easier to navigate as it is a bye week for some clubs like Liverpool, but Man City do have their fixture in the Champions League, so you're going to want to monitor that situation, because if a player is benched in the Champions League this week, they should be starting on the weekend for that all-important first double game week fixture of double game week 26. So just keep your eyes on that. We also do have our Europa League teams such as Spurs, United, and also Arsenal, so keep your eyes on those teams. And the reason why I'm kind of highlighting these sides is that Spurs, United, and Man City are probably going to be your captaincy decision. So you want to know that your captain is well rested and is fit to play. So monitor the players you have, the players you want to bring in, and just maybe the overall structure of the side. I mean, if Spurs go and put a good shift in the Europa League this week, it's going to fill us with some confidence after that rather lackluster game on the weekend, and maybe a couple of triple captains will shift their way to Harry Kane or Heung-min Son. So just keep your eyes on this. Now let's get into the main talking points. So I wanted to give you guys, as I usually do on these ultimate guides, a little bit of an insight into the single game week fixtures, because a lot of us just look at the double game week sides, and while the odds are on those players to perform better because they do have two bites of the cherry instead of just one, I wanted to see what single game week teams there are for double game week 26 and whether they might be worth investing in. So what I've done is on the arrow side of the fixture is the team that only has a single game week. So West Ham versus Man City. Man City obviously have the double, but West Ham only have one game week. I wouldn't be looking at too many West Ham options, but definitely Brighton assets. If you own a Brighton asset, I don't think a lot of FPL managers might own an attacker, but from a defensive point of view, you might play them. I think that West Brom from an attacking point of view are better than they are defensively, so I would favor the Brighton attackers. On Leeds versus Aston Villa, I think a main question this week is going to be, should you be bench boosting your Leeds assets? And in my personal opinion, I think the Southampton game should give us some good insight. I mean, if they go blank in that one, I don't think we're going to have too much faith in Leeds. But the Aston Villa side, without Jack Grealish potentially, there still will be some news on Jack Grealish. Right now, it seems that he is a doubt for that Leeds game, but it doesn't look like it's a super long-term injury, so he might be back for the second game of double game week 26, but if he's out for the Leeds fixture, from an attacking and a defensive point of view, I think it makes it a lot better for Leeds as a single game week team. So yes, I would actually bench boost my Leeds assets. You're probably keeping them for that blank game week 29 fixture, which I can perfectly understand. So from that point of view, I don't think your Leeds bench boost is the worst in the world. I personally bench boosted a full Leeds lineup, 3 Leeds players on my bench, and they returned 2 points each. So don't take my example as gospel, because I think that just because it didn't work out for me, the Leeds bench boost might work out for you. Then also Newcastle against Wolves, I wouldn't be looking at that fixture too much, exactly like Arsenal and Leicester, as well as Southampton versus Everton. All of those games are too close to call against tougher opposition, so I wouldn't be looking at playing any of those assets, and I definitely wouldn't be looking at having any of those assets on my wild card. Maybe Southampton, if they do have some upcoming doubles, as we'll see in the game week schedule, you could look at a player like that, but I don't think that Newcastle and Arsenal are looking too great and should warrant too much of your attention. So now getting on to the game week schedule, and why I wanted to just run through this is that it's going to give us some good insight into the chip strategy as well as what have been the confirmed fixtures. So as you might have seen on the double game week 25 deadline, FPL and the Premier League as a whole released the double game week 26 fixtures right on the double game week 25 deadline. Massive trolling from that department. You got to look and see that they might have done that on purpose, and I definitely think they did, to just kind of nullify the advantage of us FPL managers and knowing those fixtures before that double game week 25 deadline. But the games have been confirmed. We're not going to be too angry about that deadline. It didn't affect our teams personally because I wasn't wildcarding, but if you were wildcarding, my advice to you would have been to wildcard anyway, as Ben Krellin always does a good job, and that's exactly the game week planner we're going to be using here. It's straight from Ben Krellin's Twitter page, so as we usually do, shout out to him. Go follow him on Twitter for all your double and blank game week news. So this schedule from Ben Krellin basically sets out the upcoming doubles. Only the yellow fixtures have been confirmed, but as you can see, game week 27 also has some double game week fixtures, and that's basically what I wanted to show you guys. If you are using a free transfer, now those Man City options look even better. You might want to even keep one of those Southampton options. I know it is against Man City, but it could be an extra 2-3 points, and that's always an advantageous situation in FPL. Every point does matter, but we're basically going to focus on the double game week 26-27 and then those blank 29 fixtures. So the Spurs versus Villa game has been confirmed to happen in blank game week 29, which is basically what we wanted to, because it makes that blank game week really easy to navigate. So just take a look at that. Plan your blank game week 29 fixtures. I would only recommend that probably after this game week, but those Spurs and those Aston Villa assets are quite good. But more about them when we talk about should you be using your wild card now and what should you be doing. But here we can kind of set out the fixtures. We can see that there are some game weeks in double game week 27, which is why I would definitely recommend, if you don't have a Man City triple up, definitely make that triple up a reality in your own FPL sides. But at least the fixtures have been confirmed yet. You can pause the video right now if you want to actually analyze them and take a look at the game week planner. Otherwise, I'll check you in the next talking point. So for the next talking point, I wanted to dive a little bit more into the fixture analysis. So what I did was I went over to fantasyfootballhub.co.uk and I went to the fixture analysis page, and what I did was I sorted these from best to worst from an attacking and a defensive point of view. So first up on the menu is going to be those attacking options. So the best fixtures for double game week 26 are actually at the hands of Everton, Southampton and West Bromwich Albion. I can't really argue with that. I mean, Southampton have been quite defensively poor and West Brom are probably the worst defense in the Premier League at the moment. So from an Everton point of view, I am quite happy as a DCL owner. Came back from injury for that Liverpool fixture in the second half, so it does look like he should be fit for the upcoming double game week. And against Southampton and West Bromwich Albion, it's a definite hold for me. You could also look at other options like a Richarlison or maybe a James Rodriguez. I don't know the current situation on his injury, but also a Gylfi Sigurdsson. You could also look at those options. I think with those fixtures, it's quite hard to ignore getting an Everton option, and you could even look for a differential captaincy option in these two games. Then West Bromwich Albion was actually quite a surprise for me. Brighton, Everton. I know Everton haven't been that great defensively, but Brighton haven't been too shabby, so that might be a little bit of a surprise for you. But if you want to go for someone like a Pereira, that could be a nice outside shout there from a differential point of view. But I don't know if I'll be looking at West Brom too much. Aston Villa, also great fixtures. Leeds, Sheffield United, they definitely were one of the sides I was trying to target. I was going to go for Jack Grealish as one of my chances in for double game week 26, but with the recent injury to him, I'm pretty sure that I won't be looking there. But that doesn't mean you can't look at other Aston Villa attackers. I mean, Ollie Watkins has always been good. His stats have been good recently. I don't know how the lack of Jack Grealish in that lineup is going to affect the attacking point of view of Aston Villa. It should affect them quite a lot because Jack Grealish is such a quality player, main talisman in that lineup. But recently teams have been targeting him a little bit. We've seen the kind of traditional now two right backs at that right wing and right back position. We saw that for the Leicester game. They actually played Pereira and a Castagne both on that right side to kind of nullify him, which is quite interesting. So it's going to be interesting to see how teams now set up against Aston Villa and if there could be a little bit more space in behind there for Ollie Watkins. So you could also look at him, maybe a Traore or an El Ghazi, who we'll be mentioning a little bit later on. But then we go to the first big hitter, I think, of this week. It's going to be the Spurs asset. So Burnley, Fulham. A little bit annoying that it was the Fulham game, not the Southampton game that was moved to double game week 26 for Spurs, because I would have much preferred Southampton. That's just because Fulham defensively have been great recently. A little bit surprising at the start of the season, and probably would have considered them one of the worst teams in the Premier League, and right now they probably are, but they're kind of edging their way up that Premier League table, and I think that they could actually do a job against Spurs. So that's why it's making me a little bit worried about my potential triple captaincy options on those Spurs assets. But it is Burnley and it is Fulham and it is Harry Kane, so he should definitely do well against that. So then the final team we're going to be talking about is Man City. So Man City's double game week fixtures are a bit meh, but with Man City, they are one of the most fixture-proof sides in the Premier League. Basically, you could have any double. You're going to guarantee some points from Man City, and that's why I would definitely recommend getting that triple up with that double game week 27 on the horizon. So now moving on to the defense, we're going to quickly run through these teams as most of the fixtures are generally the same. The only new addition here is Man City at the top of the table there for the best defensive fixture. So West Ham, Wolves, I'm expecting at least one clean sheet from one of those sides. It could even be 2 clean sheets, but with the way Man City have been rotating that defense, you're just going to have to get lucky and hope that your defender plays both of those fixtures. So Man City definitely, defense is looking strong. West Brom is also a little bit of an interesting surprise here. They do have Brighton and Everton. I'm expecting both of those teams to score, but as a personal owner of Johnston, maybe I should just play him and hope for the best. Also wanted to just mention that West Ham Man City game has just sneaked in there because a little bit of a glitch in the system, so just ignore that fixture when you are analyzing the defensive fixtures. Also want to mention that the Spurs assets is one of the teams I'm going to be looking at from a defensive point of view, and also to mention that Spurs have a couple of nice fixtures after that you could also play those Spurs defensive options. So now going on to the wild card, which is going to be the first chip that we talk about. Once again, we're going to be using the Ben Crellin transfer planner. Just a really easy and nice set out a game week planner that's going to make it really easy for me to explain to you what you have to be looking at if you are on a wild card. So should you wild card for double game week 26, I definitely would recommend it if you don't have another chip that you're looking at, such as a bench boost, a free hit, or a triple captain, because I think double game week 26 might be one of the last options for those other chips. But with the wild card, what you just have to look for is that blank game week 29 fixture. But with that blank game week 29, there's actually not a lot of fixtures that are looking too good in that one, so you could actually completely negate it, ignore it, just maybe play about 6 or 7 players for that blank, and I'm pretty sure you should be fine. So if you want to get the maximum return from your wildcard, I would recommend stacking it with double game week 26 players in your starting lineup. Go for the best options that you think of, and then just use those free chances for the blank to kind of fit in those blank game week players. That's what I would recommend for your wildcard. You just have to kind of look a little bit more towards the future. Unfortunately, you can't wildcard after the blank, so I don't think I'd be ruining my side too much just for one fixture when we still have 8 game weeks left after it. So that's just the thing you have to take note of. Unlike me, I'm wildcarding after my blank, so I can kind of go into a dead end with my side and then have the wildcard save me from it, but you won't have that case. So just monitor your team and make your transfer planner until about game week 30 and just assess the situation there. Maybe make a good old Excel spreadsheet. That always kind of helps if you don't have an online transfer planner to have for your own FPL team. But the double game week 26 fixtures are definitely what I'd be targeting. It's almost the same with the wildcard / free hit here. I would just be stacking my side with the best starting 11 possible and just hoping for the best. I think that's going to be the maximum return instead of kind of targeting a blank game week that doesn't have that great of fixtures. So now going on to the other chips, which is going to be the free hit, the bench boost, and also the triple captain. So with the free hit, it's a great chance to kind of maximize your double game week players. You simply know what to do with the free hit. Just stack whoever you think is going to be good, and you can kind of don't have the consequences for game week 27. So that's kind of a no-brainer there. And then also with the bench boost, I would be using my bench boost in this double game week since it's the last massive double game week of this FPL season, and I wouldn't be afraid to take some hits for that. My personal bench boost, I took a -12. Now while mine didn't work out, that doesn't mean that your -12 won't. So don't be afraid of the hits. Just make sure that those players play in double game week 26, have good fixtures, and maybe even have good fixtures after that, because what that means is that they do have a couple of game weeks with good fixtures that minimizes the risk of no returns and allows you to hopefully make the maximum amount of points up after taking that hit. So you could always use the bench boost this game week if you even have Leeds options, as we spoke about a little bit earlier on. I think that Aston Villa game is not the worst in the world, so I would still consider using it even if you have triple Leeds on your bench. Then finally, the triple captain, and the reason why I'm going to focus on the triple captain the most is I think it's going to be the most popular chip used this game week, and I'm probably going to be using it myself. I just feel that the upcoming doubles might not live up to the hype. The fixtures don't look that great in the upcoming doubles, whereas double game week 26 has some lovely fixtures to boot for some players. So when we talk about Man City, United, and Spurs here, because I just think out of those three, they're the best captaincy options to look at. You could also look at Liverpool with Mo Salah, but I just think with the way Liverpool have been playing recently, I can't really put much faith in them. So Man City, there's one player that I'm looking at from Man City, and his name is Kevin De Bruyne. And the reason why I'm looking at Kevin De Bruyne is that his ownership is at about that 11% mark. So not only is he a great option to captain, he's also a mega differential captain. And with the triple captain, as you know, it's just an extra set of those captaincy points. So imagine it's a differential captain. That's basically 2 differential captains in a row there that you could be getting the points of. You just have to kind of hope that the differential captain outranks or outscores the main popular captain, which this week I don't even know if there's going to be one. I think that Bruno Fernandes and the Spurs assets will be quite highly captained, but it's a nice game week to use that triple captaincy because the captaincy is going to be split. So it's not like this game week when everyone captained Bamford, so there's not that much return to gain from a triple captaincy, but this week could be the best option. So Kevin De Bruyne is probably one of my favorite triple captaincy options. You just have to basically hope that coming back from injury is going to be able to play a lot of games. Gundogan can also be a good shout there. I wouldn't be looking at too many of the defenders because of that rotation risk, and that's basically what happens with the Man City players. They always are the best options, but then the rotation kicks in, and that's kind of a big disadvantage because you always want your triple captain to play the maximum amount of minutes because that increases the chance of hopefully getting a return, and that's why I really favor the Spurs assets and also Bruno Fernandes because those players should be getting 90 minutes. And the nice thing about it is we can monitor this week in that Europa League game and see if those players are rested. I guess the same thing could be said about Kevin De Bruyne, but I'm pretty sure he'll be starting in that Champions League as it is the knockout stages, whereas Bruno Fernandes and Spurs have had their first game already and they had a comfortable win in that one. So I reckon that Kane and Fernandes could potentially get a rest, and that's why I am favoring them as options. But that doesn't mean the Man City options aren't that great. They arguably have the highest ceilings, so I would still look at them, but I am leaning towards more of the United assets, which is Bruno Fernandes. You could also look at Rashford from a mega differential point of view, but Bruno Fernandes is where it's at. That Chelsea game is a little bit tough, and those top 6 clashes, inverted commas, are always quite close, especially this season. But a simple penalty, and that's basically a guaranteed return, but you're definitely going to be focusing on that Crystal Palace game, and that's where I think most of the points will come. Then finally, we got Spurs, which is basically form versus fixture. So in terms of form, Spurs have been playing absolutely dreadful recently. On the weekend, as I mentioned, a lackluster performance against West Ham. So it's kind of a thing that happens in FPL always. What's a better combination than your player blanking before you're going to be triple captaining him? It always happens, and that doesn't mean that he's going to absolutely bang in double game week 26, but it is something that goes on your mind. A player, it's always easier to captain if they banged in the previous game week, and unfortunately that didn't happen with Son or Kane. But those Burnley versus Fulham games do look like quite good fixtures. And from a Harry Kane type point of view, I do think these are the games that he usually does well in, and that's why I'm hoping for him to do quite well. So I personally prefer Harry Kane over Heung-min Son, but you could go for Son if you wanted. It's just kind of a little bit annoying that Burnley and Fulham have been quite defensively sound, especially Fulham, as we mentioned previously. So I do think both these sides are going to put up quite a good fight. But I think that this is the game week that I'll be using my triple captain. I think that every single day that goes by, my mood kind of changes on who I'm going to be triple captaining. So just stay tuned for that team selection where I will finalize it. So now I go into some differentials as our last talking point of this ultimate guide to double game week 26. And what I did was I tried to go for under 10% owned. Some of these players might have moved as of recording this video, so just keep that in mind and just monitor those ownership stats as the game week does progress. I didn't want to go for too low ownership, as there usually is a reason why some of those players aren't owned. It just simply means that they aren't returning, so people aren't looking at them. So first up here, we got the form player. What I went for is basically 3 fixtures players and then a form player. So Harvey Barnes is going to be that form player. Leicester are playing well. Their double game week fixtures aren't that great, but because they're playing so well and Harvey Barnes as well is playing so well, I wanted to highlight him here. So under 10% ownership, I'm pretty sure that's going to rise. Probably one of the most popular transfers in this week, so definitely expect some Harvey Barnes price rises if you want to bring him in, but he looks like a great option there, and Leicester, as I mentioned, are playing quite well, so definitely give Harvey Barnes a chance if you want a little medium range / budget midfielder in your lineup. Then we go on to Lucas Digne. After a really good result for Everton against Liverpool, I'm pretty sure they're going to build on this form, hopefully. And from an attacking and defensive point of view, Everton's fixtures look great in double game week 26, so you could look at Lucas Digne as a nice option, under 10% owned. The main Everton defender that I would own besides Calvert-Lewin and Richarlison in attack. So you could look at Lucas Digne if you wanted. El Ghazi now with El Ghazi, there's a little bit of a disclaimer here. This is basically if Jack Grealish is out for a prolonged amount of time. I don't know if we will be getting that news because we didn't get news of him being injured in the first place from the Aston Villa manager in the press conference. So this might be a little bit of a punt that you do take. You could also look at Traore as more of an assured option, but I wanted to include El Ghazi in here because previously in this FPL season he's performed really well, and I think that he could get that form back and do quite well with those lovely fixtures for Aston Villa in double game week 26. Really low owned, under 1% currently, similar to Sanchez. And why I've highlighted Sanchez here is that he has been one of the most consistent starting centre backs for Spurs recently, and that's why I've gone for him, because those Spurs defensive fixtures just look so good. From an attacking point of view, might be a little bit hit or miss, but from a defensive point of view, those fixtures look great, and that's why Sanchez here finalizes my final differential pick. All 4 of these options should hopefully perform well. There are a couple of other options you could look at. I've mentioned Richarlison from Everton as well, but I wanted to kind of highlight a single player from each of the teams I think should do well in double game week 26. So this is basically wrap up the video, guys. Hopefully you did enjoy it. Please don't forget to like it if you did, and subscribe if you're new or have not subscribed yet. I'll be checking you guys for many videos coming up this week, probably with the wildcard draft tomorrow, so stay tuned for that before the preview and the team selection coming up a little bit later on. I'll be signing off. It's been Dayvy FPL, and I'm out. Cheers, bye.